On August 14, 2025, the calm waters of the Caspian Sea turned into the stage for one of the most daring and devastating military operations of the war. A North Korean cargo ship, loaded with nearly 5,000 tons of military equipment bound for Russia, never made it to its destination. Instead, it was sunk in a precision strike by Ukrainian drones, a strike so effective it stunned Moscow, humiliated Pyongyang, and sent shockwaves through the global security community. This wasn't just a battle at sea, it was a turning point proof that Ukraine could reach into the very heart of Russia's supposed sanctuaries, and a reminder that in modern warfare, even geography offers no guarantee of safety. The cargo of war. The vessel in question was the Port Olia 4, a 360-foot-long cargo ship flying the North Korean flag. Anchored in the Vuhler-Don Canal of the Caspian Sea, it carried an extraordinary load. Avionics modules, gyroscopes, navigation systems, and thousands of crates of 122mm rockets. Analysts calculated that the shipment contained enough components to assemble more than 25,000 Shahed-type drones, each capable of carrying a 40-kilogram warhead. In raw firepower, this meant nearly 1,000 tons of explosives, the potential to fuel weeks of relentless drone strikes against Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. To Russia, the cargo was a lifeline for sustaining its war effort. To Ukraine, it was an existential threat. The ship's captain and crew believed they were safe. After all, they were nearly 800 kilometers from the Ukrainian front lines, inside an inland sea long considered beyond Kiev's reach. But that illusion of safety was about to shatter. Intelligence gathering. In the days leading up to the strike, Ukraine quietly tracked Port Olia 4. Intelligence came from multiple sources: satellite passes, intercepted communications, and radar signatures. Japanese commercial satellites using synthetic aperture radar, SAR, confirmed the ship's silhouette, anchor chain tension, and drift rate. These scans revealed that the vessel had been stationary for hours, creating a predictable window of opportunity. Meanwhile, radio intercepts showed the ship was maintaining strict silence, no outgoing calls, no radar sweeps, only faint emissions from auxiliary systems. Ironically, what the crew thought was caution only made them more vulnerable. By keeping quiet, they exposed themselves as a sitting target, the secret weapon Spectre. For this mission, Ukraine prepared 14 UJ-26ER drones. Each drone was built with composite materials, giving them a radar cross-section too small to trigger priority alerts. With external fuel tanks, they could fly nearly 750 miles non-stop, guided by a hybrid GNSS and inertial navigation system with electro-optical confirmation in the final seconds. But the real secret wasn't the drones themselves. It was a system called Spectre. At 5 a.m., Spectre came online. It didn't fire missiles or launch counterstrikes. Instead, it blinded the Caspian's radar picture with false echoes. Screens lit up with phantom fishing vessels, patrol crews received contradictory contacts, and Russian defenses were paralyzed in confusion. This digital fog gave Ukraine the cover it needed. At 5:10 a.m., the 14 drones lifted off from scattered launch racks inside Ukraine. 12 carried warheads, while 2 acted as relays, flying higher to extend communications across the sea. The attack plan: the drones advanced in formation, flying low between 65 and 200 feet, skimming rivers and coastlines to avoid detection. Each was assigned a specific target. Group 1, attack the stern engine rooms and exhaust systems. Group 2, strike the bow bridge and forward compartments. Group 3, hit the midsection beams, water lines, and structural joints. Group 4, barrier drones detonate near rescue attempts. Warheads were selected for maximum effect, fragmentation charges for ripping through cable trays and crew quarters, semi-penetrating heads for punching holes into bulkheads, and delayed fuses to fracture beams deep inside the hull. By late morning, the drones were converging. The Port Olia 4 remained anchored, its crew of 40 sailors completely unaware of what was coming. The strike. At 10:28 a.m., the first drone hit. Its fragmentation warhead tore into the aft ventilation shaft, igniting a fireball that shot 40 feet into the air. Flames roared through cable trays, alarms screamed, and the ship's engine room filled with smoke. Sailors were knocked from their feet, dazed and blinded by chaos. Seconds later, another drone slammed into the starboard waterline. The explosion ripped open a 6-foot gash, sending seawater rushing in. Pumps activated but failed as electrical systems shorted out. The vessel began to list to starboard. The next wave was merciless. Drones hammered the midsection, fracturing beams, shredding steel joints, and scattering shrapnel across the deck. Fire hoses sputtered dry. On the bridge, glass shattered, panels blew apart, and the captain's desperate attempt to radio for help failed. The antenna had already been destroyed. At 10:38 a.m., the situation became irreversible. Compartment after compartment flooded. Fires burned unchecked. Oil from a ruptured shaft tunnel ignited into an inferno. The captain gave the order to abandon ship, blocking the rescue. When coastal patrol craft tried to approach, they ran into Ukraine's final line of defense. At 10:41 a.m., 2 barrier drones detonated along the canal's approach lanes, creating walls of fire and shock waves that forced rescue boats to retreat. One underwater blast shot a column of water 80 feet into the air, shaking windows on shore. The Port Olia 4 was now isolated. No rescue, no escape. By 10:50 a.m., the ship was mortally wounded. It tilted violently, rolled onto its side, and then capsized, disappearing beneath the waters of the Caspian. Aftermath. Hours later at 2:30 p.m., commercial satellites confirmed the wreck. The Port Olia 4 lay beneath the water, black smoke still curling from the surface. Nearly 5,000 tons of cargo were gone, enough to build 25,000 drones, equal to nearly 1,000 tons of explosive payloads. Only 2 Ukrainian drones were lost to interception. The rest had found their marks with devastating precision. The consequences were immediate. Insurance premiums for shipping in the Caspian skyrocketed. Cargo vessels began sailing under false identities or with transponders switched off. Regional states scrambled to convene emergency meetings, realizing the Caspian was no longer a sanctuary, but a battlefield. The strategic message. The sinking of the Port Olia 4 carried far more weight than just the destruction of a single cargo ship. For Ukraine, it was a powerful demonstration that even in the heart of the Caspian Sea, Russia could not count on safe supply routes. Kyiv had shown the world that its capabilities were not limited by geography. No sea, no distance, and no hidden corridor could protect Moscow's lifelines once Ukraine set its sights on them. This was not simply a tactical success. It was a declaration of reach, precision, and determination. Equally important was the message of restraint. Ukraine was careful to target only the military cargo, avoiding unnecessary loss of human life. The crew was given time to evacuate, and rescue paths were left clear once the vessel was mortally wounded. This balance between ruthless precision and controlled restraint highlighted Kyiv's intention to cripple Russia's war effort without compromising its moral high ground. It was a contrast that separated Ukraine's approach from the indiscriminate destruction often seen in modern conflicts. In the end, the strike resonated far beyond the Caspian. It reminded allies that Ukraine was capable of innovation and discipline, and it warned adversaries that nowhere was safe. By blending decisive power with humanity, Kyiv not only reshaped the battlefield, but also reinforced its narrative as a defender rather than an aggressor. The Port Olia 4's sinking became more than an attack. It became a statement of both strength and principle. The sinking of the Port Olia 4 was a turning point in modern warfare. It demonstrated how innovation, precision, and intelligence could overcome sheer mass and distance. A shipment that could have unleashed weeks of terror was erased in less than 30 minutes. But it also raised larger questions. If one strike could shift the balance of supply, could similar precision be used to enforce peace? Could the same technologies that brought fire and destruction also be leveraged to protect civilians and prevent escalation? The Caspian operation was proof that geography no longer guarantees safety, but it was also proof that in war, choices matter. Choices about targets, about restraint, and about the future direction of conflict. What do you think? Did Ukraine's daring strike simply change the balance of this war? Or did it change the rules of warfare itself? If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss our next in-depth analysis.